On today's episode of Locked On Wild, Kirill Kaprizov now stands in second place all-time in Wild points in his career. So how long will it take him to get to first? Not that long, actually.
Hey, this is Matt Boldy, and you're listening to Locked On Wild.
Hey, this is Marcus Foligno, and you're listening to Locked On Wild.
You're Locked On Wild, your daily podcast on the Minnesota Wild. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, I'm Seth Toupal. Welcome to Locked On Wild, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the number one sports podcast network. Locked On Wild is your daily Minnesota Wild podcast. We are your team each and every day, and we thank you for making Locked On Wild your first listen each and every day as well. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and your favorite audio platforms so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. Today's episode of Locked On Wild is brought to you by FanDuel. The wild card round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. On today's episode of Locked On Wild, we will discuss Kirill Kaprizov's path to the Minnesota Wild record books. He now stands in second place all-time in points in his Minnesota Wild career. So how long is it going to take him to pass Mikko Koivu? We'll also take a look at the Saturday loss to the New York Islanders. One of those weird games you look back and say, wait, we lost? We'll talk about the shift for the Minnesota Wild from defense to offense, and why Joel Eriksson Ek being out of the lineup is a major problem. And we'll take a look ahead to tonight's matchup against Jack Hughes and Luke Hughes and a whole bunch of Devils that appear to be dead. The Hughes Bowl, as it is being dubbed, will preview the game tonight, as well as looking ahead to the rest of the week for the Minnesota Wild. My name is Seth Toupal, host of Locked On Wild, host of the show since 2021, and joined by Alex Micheletti here on a Monday edition of the show. And Alex, we're going to dive more into the game against the Islanders from Saturday. A 4-3 loss, a head scratcher, if I'm being completely honest. You look at all the different metrics and really no reason that the Wild should have lost that game. And yet they did. But the thing that I want to focus on right off the bat is more history for Kirill Kaprizov. He moves into second place all time in points in Minnesota Wild history, as he is now just behind Mikko Koivu. He passed Marian Gaborik with 437 points. It took Gaborik 502 games to do that. It's taken Kirill Kaprizov 365 games to get to 438 career points. So right off the bat, big congratulations to Kirill Kaprizov, who just continues to churn points, even though widely considered to be having a bit of a down year this year, or just not quite looking the same. He's still putting up a ton of points, and we'll talk about when in a little bit, but he's going to have the record all time by the time his new deal is done. And then by that point, he should have every record that exists for the Minnesota Wild.
Pretty impressive for a fifth-round draft pick, right?
Many people have been saying that is impossible for a guy drafted in the fifth round. Now, I'll pose you a different question here. When he passes, because honestly at this point it'd have to be catastrophic for him not to. When he passes Mikko Koivu, now there's a jersey that is worthy of being hung in the rafters.
Not the one.
Yeah, let's get actual real numbers that are worthy of being retired. Let's get those up in the rafters sooner than later. He deserves it. I mean, I think at this point, Mikko Koivu was certainly a good player.
Mm-hmm.
But he played 1,000 games at the NHL level. All but 7 of those were with the Minnesota Wild. So Longevity is certainly the mark of a good player, but Mikko Koivu was like probably a 2C on a playoff team.
Going back when Kirill had his debut, they talked about it on the broadcast the other night against the Kings, and the electric way he started his career with the Wild, scoring in his debut against the Kings. You just knew from there that he was going to take off into superstardom right away.
So I did a little bit of number crunching for Kirill's career, and don't worry, this isn't anything like highly advanced. This is just basic math, which took me like 2 hours to do. Kirill has played out of a total of 430 games that the Wild have played since he debuted. Kirill has played 365 of them, which is roughly 85% of the games. Honestly, that percentage surprised me. I figured it would be closer to the 70s, but 85%. He is averaging 1.2 points per game played, 438 points in 365 games. And he's averaging 0.575 goals per game over his career, 210 goals in 365 games. So if he plays a total of 12 seasons at the NHL level, and this is a good reminder for people, starting next season, we are going to an 84-game schedule. Why? I have no idea. So we're doing what, like 3 preseason games, and then just right in, just jump in the pool. Anyway, 84 games. If there are 6 more seasons of Kirill, 84 games for 6 seasons is 504 games. Assuming he plays 85% of those games, which not likely, but that's his average right now. He will play in 428 games. Based on his career averages, he would accumulate 514 points in those 428 games. 246 goals in those 428 games, which would leave him with 456 goals and 952 points, which would put him like just under 250 points ahead of Mikko Koivu. And would basically be double plus the career goals mark that Marian Gaborik had set previously.
Insane. And Mikko, like you said, was a good player, not elite player. He was more of a 200-foot, two-way player. Kirill is just like Gaborik, big time scorer. So, this would mean a lot more with Kirill passing everybody.
Yeah. Now, if Kirill plays 15 seasons, which I don't think is likely, but I just wanted to do the math. That would be 9 more seasons of 84 games, which is 756 games. If he plays in 85% of those, it's 643. That would mean, based on his pace, that he would record 772 more points and 370 more goals in those 643 games, which would put him at 1,210 points and 580 goals, which would be pack it in, book it, Hall of Fame, certified Hall of Famer.
No doubt about it.
So he's going to be somewhere in between.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, the thing is going to be the health. The production, I don't think with where this team is currently sitting and where they will likely go to, I don't think the production is going to fall off a ton. It's just going to be, can he get the amount of games played in order to get to these marks? And
well, remember when he got hurt from the Logan Stanley WWE takedown, there was talk about him getting an injury that is rarely seen in hockey.
Yeah.
And when you hear that, it's like, oh boy. But it hasn't popped back up since. So
no.
Yeah, which is, you thought it would be a reoccurring thing, but it, thankfully the lower body's been okay for him.
He's turning over the puck a lot higher of a rate than he had previously. And I don't really know the reason as to why that is. He's
overdoing it, maybe. I don't know. Sometimes
he's possessing the puck a ton. He's a high volume puck producer. And I think at some points, like you said, he's probably just trying to do a little bit too much. I think, is somebody that plays aggressive. And so is he trying to, behind the back pass that maybe he could get away with just a simple forehand pass? Maybe. I don't really know. Like, I think the analogy I'll use is it feels like it's like 1 degree off to where, if you weren't looking closely, you wouldn't be able to tell. But if you really kind of comb the fine details, yeah, it's probably not what he looked like a couple of years ago. But then again, who is? I'm certainly not.
Yeah, and it was. I'm sure you saw this. I'm sure a lot of our viewers, listeners, saw this. He actually did the post-game interview with Kevin Gorg, which was really, really fun to see. And he clearly speaks English very well now, and just hearing his insights of the game, and it was really funny to say that, or hear him say that he was grumpy at Ilya Sorokin, his buddy, for stopping. He's like, I probably should have had a couple more goals. But yeah, it was interesting to hear that he chats with Quinn Hughes a bunch after the game to, they're still trying to see where both his game fits with Kirill, and Kirill's with Quinn, and that relationship on the ice is going to continue to get better and better. You saw that game, and it looked like when the Wild were at 5-on-5, it looked like they were on the power play a bunch.
Dominated.
Amazing. That Quinn, when he had that backhand late in the third and he skated around the net, it was incredible. They were just dominating. Boldy was so close a couple of times, and yeah, just unfortunate, defensive structure in overtime there.
Yeah, we're gonna break the game down a little more in detail, because the numbers that top combination, and Faber and Quinn Hughes too, the numbers that they put up against the Islanders were absurd. So we'll talk about that more, but it's roughly 3 seasons, slightly under 3 seasons, that Kirill would need in order to pass Mikko Koivu for most points in Minnesota Wild history. So 2.5, 3 seasons seems very, very doable.
Clean up on the power play, and
yeah. Just a matter of sticking to it here for the next few years. We will talk more about the Islanders game. We'll talk about the top line. I wanted to talk a little bit about Matt Zuccarello too. It just, we see a lot of Zuccarello and Kaprizov kind of pass happy. So we'll talk about that as well as we continue today's episode of Locked on Wild after this. Today's episode of Locked on Wild is brought to you by Factor. New year, big goals, and somehow even less time to cook. Boy, story of the year for me. If you're trying to eat better but don't want to spend hours grocery shopping or meal prepping, Factor makes it incredibly easy. These are fully prepared meals designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs so you can eat well without all the work. Factor meals are made with quality, functional ingredients, lean proteins, colorful veggies, whole foods, and healthy fats. No refined sugars, no artificial sweeteners, and no refined seed oils. Just real food that fits your goals, whether that's eating healthier, managing calories, or getting more protein. The key, these meals are always fresh, never frozen. They're ready to eat in 2 minutes. You get done with work for the day, you pop one in the microwave. 2 minutes later, in the time it takes for you to take off your shoes, put the mail down, and take off your coat, Factor's ready to go. It's that easy. So head to factormeals.com/LockedOnNHL50 off and use code LockedOnNHL50 off to get 50% off your first Factor box plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's factormeals.com/LockedOnNHL50 off. Code LockedOnNHL50 off. Make eating healthy easier with Factor. Welcome back to today's episode of Locked on Wild. Once again, we thank you for making Locked on Wild your first listen each and every day. Again, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. A reminder, if you're looking to take your Locked on Wild listenership to the next level, head to the Everydayer Club and Locked on All Access. There are two different ways for you to enjoy Locked on Wild like never before. The Everydayer Club offers ad-free listening, plus you'll get invited to the exclusive members-only Discord server where you can keep track of your favorite teams all in one convenient hub. And for all access, bonus looks at the Iowa Wild, PWHL, draft coverage, you name it, we will have it for you. And that is exclusively to all access listeners. You can find more information in the show notes, so make sure to check it out. Again, the Everydayer Club and Locked on All Access, turning this from Locked on Wild into Locked on State of Hockey. One note, housekeeping-wise as well, we are going to be rescheduling Denny's next show. We were going to try to do it last night at 8 o'clock, but some technical difficulties. So we'll see. Thinking we will be able to hopefully get that in for you maybe Thursday, but we'll iron it out. We'll let you know for sure when the next Denny show is going to be. So just stay tuned. As soon as we get that ironed out, we will let you know. Alex, the Islanders came in and stole an extra point against the Minnesota Wild. It was a 4-3 game in OT. The Wild generated over 4 expected goals. The offense was just the whole game just humming like crazy. In fact, I want to take a listen to these as far as the numbers go. So Kaprizov, Yurov, Zuccarello over the course of the game against the Islanders in 12 minutes, 52 seconds on ice, they were responsible for 15 shots on goal for, 5 against. They had 23 shot attempts to just 9 against. They had a expected goals of 69%, a Corsi percentage of 72%, and they were responsible for 1 goal for, 0 goals against. So Kaprizov line dominated. Boldy, Hartman, Johansson, not so much. They were responsible for 2 goals against, although Matt Boldy himself with the goal was I thought this was one of those weird, like, he was a -4, but it didn't feel like it. The rest of that line, pretty evident that Boldy and Johansson missed Ryan Hart or Joel Eriksson Ek.
Yes.
Pretty evident they missed him in there. And the bottom 2 lines, the Trenyan, Jones, Hinostroza line was responsible for a goal, which of course was Ben Jones' first NHL point.
I didn't realize this, that he and Quinn played junior hockey together.
Yeah.
So that was really cool to see that picture, and awesome that he assisted on his former teammate and now current teammate's first goal in the NHL.
And as far as the D pairings go, Quinn Hughes and Brock Faber were responsible for 1 goal for, 0 against. The attempts and shots on goal for compared to against were laughably one-sided. Brodin and Spurgeon got carved up a little bit. So the Boldy line and the Brodin-Spurgeon pairing get carved up for 2 goals against each. Ilya Sorokin stole a goal. He was 1 goal saved above expected. And Philip Gustafsson was 1.5 goals below expected. Not Gus's greatest game, but
I'm sure he wanted the shorthanded goal by Cizikas back, or when 5-hole. That was a tough one to give up.
But it's one of those games, and I've gotten some questions about this, and I was kind of trying to think of what what the answer is. And honestly, like I'm not trying to dismiss it, but this is one of the few instances we've had this year where the Wild have had the better play and they've come up on the wrong ends. They've had plenty of games, especially early in the year, where they did not have the better play of the teams, and they still find a way to win it. The goaltending carried the Wild through the entire month of November. Now we have seen this team kind of shift to more offense, which I think has led to a little faster pace, which means more shots on both sides. The Wild also have the most first goals in the NHL. They have scored first 29 times this season.
It's insane.
So that in and of itself means that you have teams chasing.
Yes.
Which means that they are going to get a higher volume of shots again.
Desperate.
This is just kind of how this season has unfolded. And I mean, you look at the numbers since Quinn Hughes came to Minnesota, and the Wild are 8-2-4. They have scored 3.79 goals per game in that span. The most goals in the NHL in that span. Granted, they've played tied with Montreal for the most games in the league. They've scored the most goals in the NHL in that span, and they're giving up 2.71 goals against per, which is still under 3 is good. 2.7 is solid. It's just not like this Wild team the whole month of November was under 2 goals allowed per game. That was never going to be the case for the whole season. And at this point, I would rather that the offense take the lead, because what has been the thing that has held this team back over the last few years? The offense.
100%. And you mentioned, scoring first. It's such a huge different deal, difference maker for this team, and especially if they can do that in the first round against Dallas, where they've had so much struggles, as we know, in the first round. If they can score first, man, that just that changes everything, because offense tends to slow down, as we know, or gets tighter in the playoffs. So hopefully that trend continues into the first round, most likely Dallas.
And if Danil Yurov scores one of those 2 goals that he was set up for right out in front of the net,
yes,
if he scores one of those, game over. The game doesn't go to OT.
And Sorokin is trying. I mentioned this on X too, that he wants to to give it his all against fellow Russian players, and especially his buddies, Kirill Kaprizov, and I'm sure he knows you're off too, and so he wants to beat those guys and get the bragging rights during the summer when they see each other.
Yeah, so it's just again, I would rather because we know that at some point later this season, the goaltend or the offense is going to kind of go into a little bit of a cold spell.
Yes,
or at least we think. And I think we have certainly seen over the last few years, we've seen enough equity on the defense to know, they'll hold up their end of the bargain.
Yes.
But up to this point, up to the Quinn Hughes acquisition, the offense had not. So I would rather have that I would rather have that card in my back pocket at this point than still be trying to win with the previous offense. And that the defense of the goaltending too.
100%. This team is so hard to figure out sometimes, and then you get a couple injuries too, and you don't know when guys are going to come back or what the deal is. Is someone from Iowa going to be up? Yeah, just you can never get a straight answer sometimes with this organization.
Joel Eriksson Ek is day to day. I don't know what that means.
No, we do not know at all.
From what John Hines said, he was optimistic that it was a minor injury. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, we have no idea. Yeah, that's tough when at times he's the most important player on the team, because he does everything. And
Yeah.
even when they don't have him in the dots, it's a mess.
He's the glue guy for that second line.
Yes. And they need that.
Yeah. Like Danil Yurov has done an admirable job on the top line. But you still have Kirill and Zucchi doing their thing. And, I was curious, Zuccarello's numbers since he came back. He's got 9 points in 11 games.
It's nice to see him shooting the puck, at least a little bit more. I mean, the game winner against Seattle, that was phenomenal.
He's got 3 goals and 9 assists in that span. So the production has been there. Quinn Hughes, obviously 14 points in his 11 games that he's played.
Just absurd.
And that shift, I had to go back and try to find it. That shift where he had the puck for 2 minutes.
Yeah,
I was like,
just absurd.
Like, I know the Islanders were like
that family. I was looking up because in that third period, especially some of the guys were out there for like a minute 30, almost 2 minutes, and I was like, what is the longest NFL shift recorded in the modern era? And of course, it's Jack Hughes. He was on the ice for a 6-minute shift once. Yeah, just absurd. I was like, this family, could you imagine 6 minutes out there? Yeah, it's just insane that's a real stat from Jack Hughes.
I would be lucky if I could last 6 seconds on the ice.
Right. To be out there for 6 minutes is just insane.
Well, we'll get to see that in action coming up tonight. And if you haven't been following along, I'll just paint this picture for you as to where the Devils are at this season, and we'll dive a little more into this after the break. But the most recent episode of Locked On Devils featured a picture of the Hindenburg as the thumbnail. Yeah, Devils are down bad. We'll talk about how bad as we continue today's episode of Locked On Wild after this. Today's episode of Locked On Wild is brought to you by Quo. New year, new systems. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our business and think, there has got to be a better way to do this. Turns out there is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest upgrades you can make. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo, the smarter way to run your business communications. Because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you are creating more opportunities to connect with your customers. Your whole team can call and text from one shared business number. Think of it as a hub, so nothing ever gets missed. Everyone will see the full conversation thread, which makes replies faster and more personal. It is no surprise that Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses, from solo operators to growing teams. Make this the year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/LockedOnNHL. That's QUO.com/LockedOnNHL. Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers. Final segment of today's episode of Locked On Wild. Once again, we thank you for making Locked On Wild your first listen each and every day. Again, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. We've got you covered every Monday through Friday right here on Locked On Wild. Note on the postcasts for this week, with games coming up on Monday, which is tonight, and then game on Thursday against the Winnipeg Jets. Yes to both. Yes to both. We'll have a postcast for you tonight. We'll have a postcast for you on Thursday with the Wild on the road on Saturday and Monday and Tuesday. I'll let you know by Wednesday. Just got to check and see what the game schedule is for next week on my end. And we'll see if we can get a couple of those in at least. for your postcast schedule. So let's talk about the Devils, Alex, who are the opponent for the Minnesota Wild for tonight's matchup. And the Devils recently sat Dougie Hamilton because, as general manager Tom Fitzgerald said, business is the lineup business. I think that's the literal quote. That is the literal quote that he said in response to throwing Dougie Hamilton on the bench. And this is a Devils team that got beaten 9-0 2 games ago. And
to that Isles team,
yeah, to this very New York Islanders team. They have then lost the next 2 games. They're in the midst of a 4-game losing streak.
Lost to Winnipeg.
They've scored a combined 5 goals in the 4 games. They have given up 20.
Jacob Markstrom has not been what they were expecting there.
Yeah, I am just pulling up the Markstrom numbers for this year. He's 10-10-1, 3.48 goals against average, an .878 save percentage. He's allowed 71 goals in 22 games.
Disaster. And Jake Allen is somehow still going too.
I have no idea how that's. I don't know how that's possible. But like this Devils team, I bring this up because I remember it vividly when the Minnesota Wild acquired Quinn Hughes. The biggest response was, he's a Devil in a year and a half. This is a worthless trade for the Minnesota Wild because he's going to New Jersey.
But there was that talk too that Quinn didn't want to overshadow Luke there because Luke is trying to become the number 1 defenseman there, and if Quinn overtakes him, then it's just like, and they got to still figure out what they're doing with Dougie as well.
Let me read you the response from Dougie's agent, JP Barry, who it turns out represents several current Devils players, including both Hughes brothers. Dougie was informed today that he will not be playing now that Kovacevic is back in the lineup. In our view, this decision is all about business rather than his game right now. Singling him out seems very calculated at this stage. Dougie has a 10-team trade list, and there have been efforts to trade him going back to the draft last year. We have made it clear to the Devils that we will consider teams outside our list and other creative ways to get to a team that is mutually acceptable. Basically, at this point, I don't care where. I just want to be off this Devils team.
Airing it out publicly, too, that it's going to get real dicey there. Sheldon Keefe, it looks like he's just under a gun with another organization after it ended badly in Toronto, and it looks like it's going to end really bad in New Jersey.
Here is Tom Fitzgerald's full statement in response to what JP Barry said. As you know, we just put Nemitz back in the lineup on Thursday. He's a young guy who we want getting his game back, where he had been easily our best defenseman before his injury. Pesce's play speaks for itself. He isn't going anywhere. And Kovacevic coming back gives our roster a spark we are looking for. And he was our best defensive defenseman all of last year. And that's what we want with our lineup right now. This is simply Dougie being the odd man out with where our right side is fully healthy for the first time all year. This is business of our lineup.
Yikes.
Whatever,
yikes.
Dude.
And healthy scratching him is not going to help his trade value. You have to be playing him because these teams are going to be wanting to scout him. The pro scouts are going to want to see where his game's at for their club, and if their GMs are interested in Dougie, they're gonna want the full picture on what's going on with him out there.
I saw a few other tweets from various people in which are key media people throughout the NHL saying that the team is not planning to overreact to what is currently going on. You know, there will probably be a decision made on Sheldon Keefe at some point, but it's not going to be a quick trigger type of move. And I'm sitting over here saying a reaction of some sort is probably best.
No doubt.
Like
you got to think that I'm sure Austin Matthews and Willie Nylander and Matthew Nyes are sitting back just laughing like, oh, we've seen this we've seen this movie before.
And I love some of these other like reactions to what's going on, and just seeing the consensus being the Devils are clearly sitting behind the scenes wondering how they possibly got to this point. And I'm like, thanks for that. Duh.
Right. No kidding.
Like
Fitzgerald's made some absurd moves. The Andre Palat disaster of a contract has not worked out at all. And they are in need of some major changes with that team.
And the rumor is that the Devils offer for Quinn Hughes was contingent upon being able to move salary cap, was be able to clear cap space to be able to do it. Like they had the package of players that they thought was going to end up winning the deal. But then when it got to the point of having to do the second step, Tom Fitzgerald was like, I'm out.
I'm out. And, they have too many. Yeah, they're like the Wild. They had too many guys with no move deals that would not move them at all.
Yeah, but this is like there just is so much speculation as to how this situation is playing out, where the Devils are at in the standings, is the kind of thing that leads to teams not wanting to go to a particular place because of it. And with an agent who certainly has pull with many Devils players, you don't forget that.
Yeah, it looks awful. Yeah.
You gain a reputation as being a franchise that is not free agent friendly.
100%. And it can ruin relationships. You do not want that. And especially for like a prominent agent, they're always looking for the next stud to, come, to be a client, or to have the relationship as a player agent. And like you said, can be a lasting effect, and it's not good.
But that being said, there's still plenty of talent on this Devils team.
No doubt about it.
If you don't show up, Nico
Hischier, Jesper Bratt, Timo Meyer, I mean, they have the talent. It's just execution's been lacking.
If you think you're going to just sit from outside and just rip shots, and Markstrom's not going to make the saves, probably going to lose. So let's just solid effort. I thought about 90% of the play against the Islanders. Now that I had a chance to go back and watch, I thought 90% of the play against the Islanders was fine.
Yeah.
It came down to a couple of little things that they got bid on, a couple of opportunities they weren't able to capitalize on. If they capitalize on a couple of those goals right down in front, which are the highest percentage goals you can have, they win that game.
Yeah, they've learned, I think, their lesson that they can't take these teams lightly at all. Yeah. You saw tonight that or last night, Nashville just beat Washington, and Washington's been playing really, really well. So these teams where you think that, hey, they've kind of mailed it in on the season. Nope. These teams are still trying.
Yeah, which is why, again, for the trade scenarios, standings are still just a jumbled mess. I mean, if you want to go try to get a center from the Ducks who have lost 9 in a row, you probably could, but do you want one of those centers?
And do you want the bad energy to come into the locker room? Yeah. No.
Just hold out for Vincent Trocheck.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying.
And, it's convenient that Bill Guerin picked him for the Olympic team.
I think that's why, honestly.
I think there's going to be a lot of talks there in Milan with a lot of the GMs, and obviously Drury and Guerin have a great relationship. So it wouldn't shock me to see some type of wild Rangers trade, whoever it is.
Here's my thought. Here's my tinfoil hat conspiracy theory is the Wild don't feel they have enough to be able to get Vincent Trocheck by themselves. So Bill Guerin's going to use the Olympic break to try to get a third team involved. But
like the Wild did when Ryan O'Reilly was traded. Yeah. And Dmitry Orlov. Remember, both of them were Wild players for a hot 2
seconds. That's my tinfoil hat, is that the Wild don't think they have enough by themselves to get it done. And so they're trying to get a third team involved, and Bill Guerin's going to use that Olympic.
That was a hot thing in the NHL in the past.
He's just going to work the phones. It's going to happen. Say it with me.
Speak it into existence. Yes.
Yeah. Manifest it. Yeah. That's our show for today. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. We will see you after the Devils game with a postcast recapping a win or a loss. And when we have a firm date and time set up for Denny's next show, we will let you know. We're working on that. Some technical difficulties that need to get sorted out first, but we'll let you know as soon as we know. We will let you know. But make sure, if you have not already, to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. We've got new episodes every Monday through Friday as part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day.